What's up, everyone? How's everybody doing? What's up, Elva, Thomas, Skeptical Mantis, Jennifer, Elva? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the show. Yeah, I kind of just decided last minute to do this, but there's a lot. We're gonna cover two stories. What's up, Jonathan, Metal King, Eric Gray, Creamer Streamer, Zulu Z. What's good? Thoughts on Glenn Greenwald? I mean, he'll always have my respect breaking that Snowden story. But I mean, yeah, real journalist. Tatami's Diary, what's up? I don't Tatami's, you gotta let me know how to say that. I see you. I noticed you comment on a lot of my videos, so I appreciate that. Appreciate you watching. Alex, what's good? Dean, what's good? Josh, Peter Griffin, what's up, Peter Griffin? Love Family Guy. Glad you're stopping by the show. Biden be tripping, firing his young staff for smoking. Oh, we'll talk about that. I don't know if y'all saw my tweet, but I just responded to what's up, Thomas. I might have said what's up already, Jamie. Appreciate y'all stopping by. Crime Bill Joe, right? Is it possible for him to be, as regressive as he is? Yo, Tony, thanks so much for the super chat. Justin Jackson, you're 6 years younger than me, and I feel like we're kindred spirits. I'm out of politics. Kindred spirits. I'm out politics. I don't know what you meant at the end there, but that's good, man. I mean, I feel like a lot of people nowadays are kind of having, being more simpatico politically. And I think I was watching Bad Faith podcast with Chris Hedges, and he kept saying this quote was, you have to be as radical as the reality around you. And I think that's what we're up against right now, right? Like every single thing that keeps happening day in and day out in this country, crisis after crisis, and the way they handle it and the way they act like they're handling it so well. And they, put the press releases out there that it's fixing so much. And then, like my cousin sent me a text message the other day saying, she's kind of like not super into politics. She just got out of college. She played college basketball. But I'm getting her more into politics and kind of teaching her and learning her, kind of how politics works in this country and stuff, because she's very curious. And she was talking about, like, she's hearing, she doesn't follow it as much as I do, but she's hearing, the Democrats talking about how great this bill is. And, she's got, I don't know if she has any student debt, but she just got out of college. She now has all her living expenses as an adult. And she's like, that $1,400, my rent is laughing at that $1,400. Like, that's what she said, because that's real. And they never account for, all the costs that, real people have, when you're living the paycheck to paycheck, because they don't understand what it's like to live like that. They don't understand what it's like to not know if, you're going to pop a tire or your kid's going to get sick. And then all of a sudden, you don't have the money for it. They don't know. They don't know what that's like. The video of Biden falling undeniably made my day 100 times better. We'll talk about that. But to me, actually, that is the most relatable thing Joe Biden has done, probably since he became president. Like, have y'all never just like tripped? I mean, like, look, this happened last year, actually, in practice one day. It was, another one of our runs that I've done a million times. And I like literally tripped on nothing and just planted my face in the ground just in front of everyone. And it's like, fuck, but it is what it is. Shit happens. JJ, you need an intern or assistant? I don't right now. I actually did just get an editor. We used to go to high school together, and she reached out to me, and she's gonna edit some of my videos. So I appreciate it, though. Thanks, Anthony. Private dollars over public welfare. It's capitalism. Hey Jay, I love seeing your content. I hope you're getting in your training at the same time. Of course, man. Of course, always, always. I think I might start releasing some training content too. I mean, I know some people said they'd be interested in that. Do y'all have your drinks? It's Friday. Everybody, get your drinks. Tony, thanks again for the super chat, man. Let me see what you said. I meant to say we're kindred spirits politically. Your show is awesome. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I hope y'all are liking the show. I'm trying to do more live streams. I think doing live streams, covering stories in our live streams, and then cutting them up and putting them on YouTube. Definitely once I start getting back into football, once I'm not really in the off season anymore, I won't get super, super busy until like late July when camp starts, but I'll start having some meetings and stuff like that. So I think this format might be a little better for my schedule moving forward, so I can get y'all as much content as possible. Thanks again for that super chat, Tony. Let's see. Murphy, thank you for the super chat. To break up Facebook or to not break up Facebook? Oh yeah, I mean, all those. I mean, we literally live in a monopoly economy. I'm telling y'all, go listen to that Bad Faith podcast episode with Chris Hedges. It's great. I mean, yeah, we essentially live. Everything has been monopolized. They might as well not even have any antitrust laws because at this point, everything's been monopolized. And obviously nothing's worse for small businesses than monopolies, but they'll never do anything to break those up. Because I mean, you see like Uber and Google, a lot of them have executives in these administrations. So of course they're not going to go out of their way to break up the companies that they just came for and the companies that allowed them to get into a position of power. Like they're not going to go into the government and then break them up. That's the same thing with like Obama's whole cabinet being from Citibank, right? Like if the people that are in your ear and when you're president, a lot of times, you can't be 100% knowledgeable about every single thing. So what do? You delegate. And a lot of times those cabinet positions, is who the president delegates to. So if Obama's whole if this whole cabinet is run by Citibank or came from an email from Citibank, which we found out through WikiLeaks, which is also why they're trying to part of the reason that the Democrats started hating Julian Assange. But what's his legislation going to look like? Well, it's going to look like legislation that helps Citibank. Like it just makes sense. It's just rational. Rolling one up. Nice. I don't drink, I smoke. Hey, whatever you indulge in. Let's see. Biden tripping reminds me more of my grandparents. Yeah, I mean he actually is a little more. He does seem more like athletic. I mean, his body seems in better shape than his brain. Let's just say that. Oh man, Foster's beer for me. I don't like beer. I really don't like alcohol much. But we'll drink a little bit. But I don't drink during my season, so that's like 6 whole months that I just don't drink. And I don't really like the taste of alcohol. I kind of checked out mentally after the election, to be honest. This podcast is a laid back way to stay informed. CNN and all of them are too biased. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for saying that. I try and make it laid back. I'm a pretty laid back guy. If I were ever to run into any of y'all in the streets, low key, I'm kind of like not antisocial, but more of an introvert. And it's weird because obviously I do the show, but I'm talking into a camera. But yeah, if I ever saw you guys out, I'd definitely say what's up. I want this to be more like a community, like we gotta get back to that. Just coming together and supporting each other and saying what's up. I love meeting new friends, all that good stuff. Has Jordan Sheridan invited you on his show, Status Quo? Have I been on Jordan? I don't think I've ever been on Jordan's show, and I'm sure. I mean, I'd love to have him on my show, and I'm sure I could get on his show too. I've watched Jordan since he was at TYT, obviously, and then he started Status Quo after that, and he always does amazing reporting. And that reporting, did y'all see that video from the insurrection on January 6th that John Farina, who I think works at Status Quo as well, got like firsthand video? Just actually, he was like right like 2 or 3 I mean, he had to be like 5 or 6 feet away from like the line of police officers where the insurrectionists were pushing, and they were like holding the line in a tunnel. It was like some of the craziest footage I've ever seen. And I know the mainstream media, I think like CNN or MSNBC, tried to take the clip and then not even give credit to status quo or not give them any money for that. It was crazy. But that was some of the craziest footage ever. So they do really great work over at Status Quo. Go give them a subscribe to them, because they do great work. Yes, bong pack and shot poured. Let's go. When I first learned about Black Wall Street, it showed me the true potential of a collectivist mindset and totally changed my outlook on what is truly possible. 100%. You saw what they did to Black Wall Street, right? So we, that's why we gotta, something like that obviously, wouldn't happen today. But I mean, they'll do it in more discreet ways, But yeah, we gotta support each other. Andrew Dwyer, thanks so much for the super chat. You can bring over NFL fans to lefty movement. That's what I want to do, because I know a lot of people, know me because of football. And I think politics a lot of times is like, if people aren't knowledgeable about it, we've created this atmosphere in this country where if you're not knowledgeable about it, it's just like, oh no, well, you either just default say you're like in the middle, which a bunch of people say, if they're not, in politics. I think I'm just like a moderate in the middle. That's just their way of being safe. They don't want to be ostracized as some radical lefty or crazy right winger. They just, that's if they're apolitical, or they just are apolitical and they just don't follow politics at all. And I want to make my show in a way that people, who aren't very well informed about politics can come, and I try and break it down in a very digestible, easy way to understand. So yeah, that's what I want to do with the show. I love drinking water, LOL. Yeah, water. I mean, water should be what's in here right now, but that's okay. That's all I ever drink usually. Hey everyone, my first time catching you live. Welcome to the show, Vincent. Appreciate that. Just found your show through the Spain 4-day work week. Awesome show you've got. Thanks. Yeah, that isn't that crazy? And I really wanted to emphasize like what other countries get, like workers in other countries get, and I'm sure take for granted, but I mean, they worked and fought to through their unions and through just labor movements to actually they went and fought to actually get that stuff, and we just roll over and take everything here. Like in the fact that what Amazon is doing to those the workers in Bessemer, Alabama, trying to start a union, the amount of union busting tactics they're implementing and employing, and then you have Joe Biden come out and quasi give a nod of support to it. He didn't say Amazon in the video. He was like workers in Alabama or something like that. And it actually did boost morale a lot. So you see that, like, even if he would have came out and said, no, Amazon is, doing these union busting tactics, and I'm having my Justice Department look into, like, if he would have actually went all out, and, if he actually cared about it, would have went out all out in support of them, I mean, they would probably get some type of, reprimand for that. And I'm sure the people at the facility would be much more comfortable voting yes. But I do still think that it will pass. I mean, hopefully. I talked to Christian Smalls, and he said he had a good feeling about that vote coming up soon. Do a reaction to your college highlights. Would y'all be interested in that? I do. Like I said, I do want to do more football content, like record some of my training videos, maybe even do a live of me and like Austin Eckler when we do our like training outside on the field, or I can do football reaction videos or whatever. I do want to do more pop culture stuff too, but obviously the main focus will still be politics. Are you a socialist? Yeah, I would say I am. I mean, like, I think we need to get to that place. I mean, you can see what capitalism is doing, and if capitalism stands, I think. I mean, you see I don't see anything changing in this country until we start to break down those capitalist structures. Jonathan Boyle, appreciate the super chat. Love your show, even though I'm from San Diego and still salty about the Chargers leaving us for LA. Sad face. Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of people are still upset about that. I was not here when the Chargers were in San Diego, so I'm recent to LA, but I know there's a lot of fans that feel that way. But hopefully you can, support the Chargers maybe just because of me. But I appreciate the super chat, man. Have you radicalized teammates yet? I'm working on it. We are actually the moderate ones here. We want nothing more than what other countries have. Exactly. And really, like, moderate should be what the majority of the country wants. And the majority of the country wants free public college. Majority of the country wants living wage. Or majority of the country wants universal single payer healthcare. Majority of the country wants for us to, take bold steps on climate change. That's what majority of the country wants. Yo, Frank Analysis, thanks so much for the super chat, bro. Keep up the great work, brother. Thank you for all you do to inform people. Thanks, man. You as well. You as well. I've definitely watched the show before. We'll have to collab sometime for sure. Stephanie, thanks so much for the super chat. You and Aaron Mate are both friendly and politically sharp. That would be a great mashup. Yeah. I definitely want to get Aaron Mate on the show. Especially, I'm gonna start diving more into like stuff like Syria and like just foreign policy. And Aaron Mate is a great reporter on stuff like that. And I obviously know him from Jimmy's show. I mean, he was on Jimmy's show for years now, and he's just an amazing reporter. So I'll definitely get him on the show. I say hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Yeah. Christian Smalls has a podcast now. Yeah, he does. Christian Smalls was the Amazon worker, supervisor in, I think it was Staten Island, who early on in the pandemic, he like organized some protests because of the bad health and working conditions there, and he got fired from Amazon. And it really, what I believe, and I think a lot of other people were saying that was kind of the spark for something like that's happening in Bessemer, Alabama. So shouts out to Christian Smalls. His podcast is called It's a Smalls World. So everyone make sure y'all check that out. Yo, Janet Barry, thanks so much for the super chat. You are such a breath of fresh air. Thank you for what you do. Medicare for All, Green New Deal. Yeah. Can y'all believe that some of these other countries got Medicare for All, or their version or whatever, some version of single payer, like 100 years ago? 100 years ago, and we're still fighting for it here. It's sometimes it's depressing, but you got to keep going. We got to keep going. Well, what else are we going to do? I don't know if Herbert is, but I know DeAndre Hopkins is a proud CP USA member. What's CP USA? Inform me on that. How many years do you have left on your contract? How do you feel about sharing that part of pro sports? I have 1 year left. It's all public knowledge. Like our contracts and everything, which is interesting. Like, I don't know why that is, actually, because we're not like a public official. But yeah, it's all public knowledge. I don't mind sharing information about that. But yeah, I have 1 year left. This is my last year of my like rookie deal, so it's a big year. I'm looking forward to it. Tony Dimio, thanks so much for the super chat, man. I'm boycotting Amazon and cutting back on meat. Nice. Yeah, we do need to. I mean, we just, not only do we need to cut back on a lot of stuff, but obviously the factory farming and all that stuff is so detrimental to the environment. But also we waste so much food. It's unbelievable the amount of food we waste, and the fact that you saw during I think it was the winter storm that they were like literally locking up loads of food, and then their excuse was, oh, it expired, or et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, y'all just threw it out from the store just now. Y'all could give it to shelters or whatever, and people would eat it the same day and it'd be fine. So that's a horrible excuse. But that's capitalism, though, and capitalism will tell you, instead of giving that food to hungry people, you need to waste that food and throw it away because of your prices or because of whatever, whatever their excuses at the time, which is at the end of the day still inhumane. Those people are hungry and you're throwing away food. Communist Party USA. Is he really? DeAndre Hopkins is? I'll do some research on that. I didn't know that. More people die from lack of healthcare than anything. We need Medicare for all. Yeah. Reduces the first step of RRR. RRR meaning reduce, recycle. What is it? I feel like morally I'm a vegetarian vegan. Morally. I think once I'm done with football, I definitely am gonna try and try going vegan or something like that. At least try or at least integrate it into my diet so I can cut back. Great veggie dishes out there, especially on YouTube. Yeah, TikTok too. TikTok's really good for recipes, and you can actually TikTok's really good for a lot of stuff. Murphy, thanks so much for the super chat. Unnatural vegan is my go-to. What's the difference between unnatural vegan and natural vegan? Reduce, reuse, recycle. Okay, thanks. Pat's fan here, hype for Hunter Henry on our squad now. Yeah, Hunter's one of my just favorite teammates. Really, really good guy. Great player too. And when he signed with the Patriots, I actually saw him at our training facility and we talked about it. I'm gonna miss him a lot. He's really cool dude. Keep speaking, evolving, and walking this path you're on to support you. Appreciate that, man. Factory farming is a long time suffering for helpless animals. So wrong. I agree. I feel like it should all be small farmers, small business farmers. Unnatural vegan. She is so problematic. Literally has issues. Is that a person? Yes, the meat dairy industry are going hard after activists exposing the cruelty. Naturally, because it'll cut into their profits. Good point. We don't make most labor rules conversation public. I think that has a lot to do with why we're having a minimum wage fight. Yeah, and it's crazy. Like when you I've talked to people who are just in corporate America or just working normal jobs, and it's like it's taboo to talk about your pay. Well, why is it taboo? Because they don't want you to know that they're paying y'all different, and what they're paying someone might be a lot more than they're paying someone else, even though they probably deserve a lot closer compensation, if not both of them deserve more. You should come up with a signature touchdown dance so they can put it in Madden. Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna do a whole lot of dancing this year. Barry Sanders was one of my favorite running backs, and my dad's from Detroit. So, and he just every time he got in the end zone, just hand the ball to a ref, and I like that. I like that a lot. I kind of feel like that's my personality a little bit. Andrew Dwyer, thanks so much for the super chat, man. Is there anything being a student athlete in college held you back from that you wished you did more of? Asking as an ex-student athlete. Being a student athlete in college is really just a sacrifice because there's so much, about the college experience that I missed just because, I had to get up at 5 a.m. for workouts or, had to travel or, just, a lot of things you do in college that, as an athlete, a lot of things you try and experiment in college, you just can't do as an athlete, for various reasons and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But obviously it did catapult me into the position I can be in now. So it's a trade-off. Did you go to school in Chicago? I went to Northwestern, but I also am from suburb of Chicago. So I basically was in Chicago my whole life until I moved out here. Thank you so much, McMindfulness, who moved my cheese. I like that. Thanks so much for the super chat. Would you consider going on This Is Revolution YouTube show, Justin, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time? Those guys are on fire. Definitely not for the MSNBC crowd. Thank you for what you do, Justin. I will definitely look into it. I don't think I can tomorrow, but I'll reach out to them because I've got multiple requests to go on that show. So I'll definitely reach out to them. Probably can't do it tomorrow just because of my schedule. But do you get any pushback from Chargers NFL doing political commentary? I have not. And I'm sure I have people like Kaepernick to thank for that and what him and people like Kenny Stills and Eric Reed did for the movement. I think it's a lot more taboo for them to try and silence people now. Yeah. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you, Sonny. Thanks for tuning in. So let's now that more people are here, let's start. Let's start here because I know everyone's kind of talking about this. I think I like this because now I can. Is that too loud? It's a little too loud for me. This was Biden today. This was Biden today walking to the Air Force One, and Why do they even film them doing this? It's like such a waste of time. Like, who cares that he's walking to the Air Force One to go somewhere? Who cares? I haven't seen The Fall yet. Well, here you go. It's just, God, everything is so like scripted, and they make it seem so, you got to stand there and salute the generals. Look at him. Joe. Hey, kudos to him though. He kept running up. He kept running. Hey, look at him play it off. Oh, Joe, watch out. What y'all think he? Why did they help him though? Literally, what y'all think he? As soon as he turned that corner, he was like, "Fuck." Bro, why did he get up? Why did he try and get up and keep running so many times? Hold up, let's play that again. Like I said earlier, this is the most relatable thing Joe Biden has done his entire presidency. Oh God. Oh, look at that freeze frame. Oh, I'm going down. Slow down, Uncle Joe. Like, he is old trying to go up them. That's how I am in my house on a Tuesday. I'm clumsy as hell. Okay, like he was training on the stairs. I used to run up. I mean, he used to try and run up the stairs as fast as I could, and I've tripped a few times. Man is persistent. I'll give him that for real. I'm surprised he didn't bust a knee or something. He is old, y'all. Like, he's old. What is it, like 80? He did not start singing. Yeah. maybe I'll do an edit on that. I bet that rickety old knee hurts. It's got to. Yo, MBW Doughboy, thanks for the super chat. God, I can't wait for the memes of this. Yeah, they'll definitely be there. But the real reason this is funny to me, right, is because, do y'all remember when he challenged that? Y'all remember this? When he challenged the guy to a push-up contest? Because the guy called him out.
On the other hand, that's your son over there. Get a job and work for a gas company that you had no experience with. That's nothing. In order to get access to the public, for the president, you're selling access to the president just like he is. So
you're a damn liar, man. That's not true. And no one has ever said that. No one has done that. No. You see it.
And I think the guy was the guy talking about his son. I think the guy was talking about his son and his corrupt son who got, I think it was $150,000, $60,000 a year or something. Was it $100,000? I don't know. It was a lot. Just to sit on a board of a foreign company in energy, which he has no, he has absolutely no history in. I think that guy was talking about that. He was asking about Burisma. Yeah. So that's the context on that.
No, I know you do. And by the way, that's why I'm not sedentary. I get up and no, let him go. Let him go. Look, the reason I'm running is because I've been around a long time and I know more than most people know. And I can get things done. That's why I'm running. And you want to check my.
Well, wait, he said he could get things done. He said he could talk to the Republicans, right? And get things done. He didn't get the $15 minimum wage done. He said he could get things done. And it's funny to rewatch this stuff because this is what he ran on and people fell for this shit.
Shape on. Let's do push-ups together here, man. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do. Let's take
Whoa, where are all those people now? Let's do push-ups, man. Let's run. Not upstairs though. Not upstairs. Can't do stairs. Oh man. Uncle Joe. Joe Biden's definitely that uncle who, the girl cousins don't really want to be around because he's creepy. Yeah. That Joe Biden, he's a piece of it. He's a piece of it. But let's get into what came out today, which was this right here. From the Daily Beast, of all places. Dozens of young White House staffers have been suspended or asked to resign due to past marijuana use, despite initial indications from the Biden admin that recreational use of cannabis would not immediately disqualifying for would-be personnel. So people, okay, well, let's read the article. Okay, how do I get there? Hold up. Let's see what they had to say. Well, first off, let's see what Jen Psaki, the mouthpiece for the Biden administration, out there to make sure she rationalizes and gives these explanations that they're neoliberal explanations. They act like these explanations make it sound better, and they don't. She says, we announced a few weeks ago that the White House had worked with the security service to update the policies to ensure that past marijuana use wouldn't automatically disqualify staff from serving in the White House. First off, that's the problem right there. That's the problem right there. Wouldn't automatically disqualify staff. Not automatically, but it might disqualify you. Not automatically. We'll look into it, but it might disqualify you. And it turns out it did. And she says, as a result, more people will serve who would not have in the past with the same level of recent drug use. These people, man. The bottom line is this: of the hundreds of people hired, only 5 people who had started working at the White House are no longer employed as a result of this policy. That's it. Just 5 people. Just 5 people who smoked marijuana in the past in states where it was legal. Those 5 people, they got fired. The rest of them are good. So we're only a little bit bad. We're not that bad. We didn't fire all of them. We just fired a few of them. Like that's not a good explanation. That's not a good explanation. And the fact that you're coming out here trying to do damage control, you're making it worse. And then liberals will just love, God, they love her so much. Tell me how she's not just lying for the administration the same way that Kayleigh McEnany and Sarah Huckabee Sanders did for Trump. It's the exact same thing. But of course, it's the exact same thing, but because it's their team, because it's blue team, and because it's Jen Psaki, and she stands up there and she's so bold. She's so bold in the face of these reporters. No, she's just a liar, just like the rest of them. I mean, she is a liar. She is, the lead liar for the administration. All right, let's read this article. Just the first part. The first part's annoying. The first part is really only the one that's important. Several staffers were informally told by transition officials that some past marijuana use would be overlooked, only to be told later that they were being asked to resign. So they literally lied to them. Because my thing is, like, first off, why are you even admitting past marijuana use, and why are you even asking that question? That's the essential issue just off jump. So y'all narked on yourself to crime bill Joe Biden and the cop Kamala Harris. So that's kind of on you, to be honest. Dozens of young White House staffers have been suspended. Wow, dozens. Asked to resign or placed in a remote work program due to past marijuana use. Well, this was funny. Look, reefer sadness. I thought that was funny. Reefer sadness. I mean, but that's what it's funny because, like, bruh, like, what year is this? Are we still in the 70s and the 80s? Let me read these super chats before they go away. Brett Taylor, thanks so much for the $5. Oh, okay. Kamala could be in trouble. Didn't she admit smoking marijuana? We'll get to that. Thanks for the super chat. Movie man, thanks so much for the super chat as well. Murphy, thanks so much for the super chat. And the wise words of Chappelle. People like to see a hero stumble. Meme it, please. Yeah, so let's get back to this. So frustrating staffers who were pleased by initial indications from the Biden administration that recreational use of cannabis would not be immediately disqualifying, shouldn't be disqualifying at all for would-be personnel, according to 3 people familiar with the situation. The policy has even affected staffers whose marijuana use was exclusive to one of the 14 states and the District of Columbia, where cannabis is legal. Sources familiar with the matter also said a number of young staffers were either put on probation or can because they reveal past use in an official document they filled out as part of the lengthy background check for a position in the Biden White House. Wow. Wow. So they were smoking in states where it's literally legal and they're getting reprimanded for it. Interesting. Interesting. So you can't even do because like people are saying, Kamala Harris admitted to smoking weed. I mean, and she did it, in the past when it wasn't legal. So should she be reprimanded because she did something that wasn't legal in the past, and these people are being reprimanded for something that was legal that they did in the past? Man, politics is so fun here in the year 1991, literally. Vincent, thanks so much for the super chat. Wait, didn't Kamala say she smoked? Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Sunny days. Thanks so much for the super chat. It's the 80s again. Yeah. It's the 80s again. Yeah. So let's see what Kamala Harris had to say when she was out there trying to get votes, right? Because when politicians are out there trying to get votes and they're politicking and they're showing up on shows and they sound so progressive and so nuanced and all these things, let's see what she had to say on the Breakfast Club. So this was I think this might have been during the primary.
What got you into politics? What made you want to say this is the route I want to go?
So, my the first office I ran for was freshman class representative at Howard University. But it really was. So, the first office that I ran for was after that was district attorney in San Francisco. And the reason was, I grew up in a community.
I wanted to lock up black and brown people and restrict people who the courts told me I had to release, but I wanted to keep them in there for prison labor.
Folks, like I said, who are marching and shouting. And I said, yes, there is an important role to play on the outside, banging down the door, on bended knee, trying to change the systems. But we also have to be inside the room where the decisions are being made.
Making sure that we prevent those people outside the system knocking on the door from never getting past that door. That's what we need to be on the inside for. That's what we need to do on the inside. So when BLM comes out and protests for a whole summer, we need to make sure that. Did it freeze? Can you guys hear me still? All right, guys. Sorry. Give me 1 sec. Give me 1 sec. I'll be right back. All right. Audio's us. Are we good? My camera battery freaking died. It's okay. We're gonna charge it for like 15 minutes. I'll finish the story. And then we'll get back into it. But this is a pretty good camera. Let's see. Yeah, I was about to go in. All right, let's bring it back. Right. So when everyone is on the outside of the system, knocking, like BLM out there protesting, we're gonna make sure we're on the inside, and we're gonna do the exact opposite of what they were protesting for. We're gonna give more money to the cops. Oh, this is rich, man. This is rich.
And I ran for district attorney because I wanted to be the one who was making decisions about what we were going to do with criminal justice policy. And in fact, I wrote a book back in 2008 based on my belief about what we need to do to reform the criminal justice system. And here's how I think about it. Criminal justice policy, we have been offered a false choice. The choice suggesting that you're either soft on crime or you're tough on crime, instead of asking, are we smart on crime? Right? And by that, I mean recognizing that, The public health model tells us if you want to deal with a health epidemic,
Ooh, her
well, let's prioritize.
her smart on crime solutions was to instead of providing resources to you know single moms who had multiple kids and didn't have a lot of money to take care of those kids or send them daycares or whatever. What she's going to do to make sure they're in school is she's going to criminalize it. And so if those kids are truant, she's going to send that mom to jail because that's going to help the kids out so much. Right? Like this is, but these, and especially in the Black community, we need to start seeing this stuff for what it is, right? Just because Kamala's Black, half Black or whatever, and she, gets off a plane wearing Timbs, does not mean what she's, her policies, how she legislates is in your best interest. Nor if she goes on, a Black podcast like the Breakfast Club and says this to your face, and then doesn't say anything to Joe Biden when he gets on a civil rights call and says he's not going to do any of the things they ask. In fact, they shouldn't be disappointed with him, no matter what he does.
Which means focusing on.
Let's skip to the part where she this is just all we know. She's just gaslighting. Let's skip to
one of the first things I saw you do that I was extremely impressed with. It was the Back on Track program.
Yeah. When we were in college, we were 18 through 24, and we were called college kids.
Right.
But when you turn 18 and you're in the system, you're considered an adult.
Right.
Period. Regardless of the fact
how many
that
people
we
did you
know
put in the system?
if that's the prime phase of life where you can mold somebody to be a productive and an accomplished adult. And so I focused on that population, also understanding that when they pick up that first offense,
I just the way they talk, like they're so caring and so loving, and don't worry, I got you. When I get in there, when y'all vote for us, y'all won't have to worry about a thing. Okay, just trust us. There's all these policies that I want to enact that are going to be so great for criminal justice reform. I haven't heard them say a single thing. About criminal justice reform since they've been in office. Not a single thing.
Will be designated a felon for life. And so what we
that's partially because of your president, who you called out in the primaries, but then when you wanted power, it was just a debate. So when you were, doing all the theatrics, like that little girl was me, and you tried to make sure that I couldn't get bused to, my school to better my life, to get to the position I'm at. So you didn't really mean that. You just wanted power. You didn't really mean that.
A program focused on them and basically getting them job counseling. A lot of the young men are fathers, getting them support for what they naturally want to do, which is parent their children, but may not have the skills or the resources. We focused on what to do around housing and just wrap around.
You know why they don't have the skills or the resources? Because half of the money goes to the police in their community, and none of it goes to schooling. None of it goes to after school programs. None of it goes to Boys and Girls Club. None of it goes to any of that. That's why. But are you going to address that, or are you just going to come on the show and talk? That's why. It pisses me off so much because I know that Black people especially look up to people like this and think they're acting in their best interest, and they're not. Kikabella, what's up, man? Remember Kamala ignored evidence that kept an innocent man on death row. That's a fact. Go look it up. That's a fact. She also kept, after being told repeated times by the courts that she had to release prisoners because there was overpopulation, her office argued that they couldn't do that because they're a valuable prison labor source, basically modern day slavery, working for fighting fires in California for 10 cents an hour. DJ, thanks so much for the super chat, man.
And we ended up, as a result of doing that, and then when they would graduate, the program dismissed their charges. But what we also ended up doing is reducing their likelihood of reoffending by a huge percentage. And that was a model of what ended up later by the Justice Department being designated as a model of innovation in law enforcement in the country.
But what do we do with drugs being legalized? I should say marijuana being legalized in so many different states, and a lot of these kids, like you said, are in
Kamala, what's up?
Same legalized crime now.
We need to decriminalize marijuana. We have a problem with mass incarceration in our country. And let's be clear.
We need to do it, but I will do a damn thing about it. I'm in a position of power. I have the ear of the most powerful person in the country. And before, when I wanted your vote, I'll say whatever I need to. But right now, when I have the power, I ain't gonna do shit about it. Not a damn thing. I look, I will send this video to, all my, especially liberal black folks, because this is very emblematic of, how we need to overcome this hurdle of trusting and believing black people in a position of power. Because this is a perfect example of why you should never trust a black person in a position of power just because they're black.
On drugs was a failed war. It was misdirected. In essence, and we're now more people are understanding it when we talk about the opioid epidemic. That when you're talking about substance abuse, that's a public health matter. That should not be thought of as a criminal justice matter. And so what we need to do is recognize that we have to get people into treatment where that is appropriate. But as it relates to incarcerating people for marijuana, I think it is long overdue that we recognize we need to change the system.
Okay, what's Joe gonna do about it?
Interesting with the Back on Track program, you've proven that it works.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't more people want to use that as a model all across the country?
Well,
Did she
think it's taking too much time?
I don't think she talked about let me find the video where she actually talks about her own drug use. Because that's the point right there, right? Look at this Washington. Okay, we'll do it from the Washington Post of all places. What's up, everybody? Thanks for popping in. We're we're going over the story about Joe Biden, where he basically suspended or fired people just because of their past drug use, which is super regressive. But also, Joe Biden did write the crime bill, and he still has yet to apologize for it. So, are we really surprised? No. All right, here we go.
Comments from her radio interview with the Breakfast Club are sparking controversy.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay. Like in
And
college,
I inhaled. I did inhale.
You
It was a long time ago.
Harris explains her pro-pot stance and admits that she indulged in the substance while in college. Then this exchange happened.
What does Kamala Harris listen to?
What were you listening to when you was high? What was on? What song was it?
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, definitely Snoop. Tupac for sure.
People quickly jumped on what they saw as a contradiction, given that Tupac and Snoop Dogg were not producing music while she was in college.
No, she was lying. She was lying. No. Like, of course, I inhaled. No, she probably was lying about that too. But the fact of the matter is, you were locking people up for something you thought was funny. I dabbled. I inhaled. But then you later on went to lock up people that did the same thing you did. Like that, and that's the point right there, right? And so, and then she went on a lie about listening to Snoop Dogg, listening to whoever. She's just lying. She's just lie after lie after lie. That's what politicians do. They lie. And once you give them your vote unconditionally, then there's no consequence to them lying, right? Let's see what. Hold on. Let me try and get this back up. Because this is what she was doing in San Francisco. As district attorney, Harris oversaw 1,900 convictions for pot offenses. And you say, just, it was her job. It was just her job. She had to do that. I'm sure it was less than the previous person who was in office. Like, it was a net benefit for those people to have, Kamala Harris as the district attorney of San Francisco. Well, let's see. Kamala Harris's opponents and critics have picked apart her prosecution of marijuana crimes during her presidential run. knocking her for over-aggressive jailing of pot users and lambasting her as a hypocrite for saying she now supports legalizing the drug. But Harris's history of prosecuting marijuana cases as San Francisco's district attorney is more nuanced than those debate stage confrontations indicate, according to new data obtained by the Bay Area, yada, 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 yada. Okay. Harris oversaw more than 1,900 marijuana convictions in San Francisco. Previously unreported records from the DA's office show her prosecutors appear to have convicted people on marijuana charges at a higher rate than under her predecessor, based on data about marijuana arrests in the city. So she actually, not only did she go in there and not, be a progressive like she claims to be, and, actually not just be jailing people for nonviolent drug offenses, she actually jailed more people. She jailed more people than her predecessor. So she was actually further right wing than her predecessor. I don't know if her predecessor was a Democrat, Republican. I do know that in that race, she laughed when the Republican kind of signaled to the fact that he would be for legalizing marijuana. She laughed that off. And now, months or a year later, you have Joe Biden being regressive to his own staff members, firing them for past marijuana drug use. Now, does that give you hope? Does that give you hope that Joe Biden is now going to all of a sudden legalize marijuana or reschedule it from a Schedule I drug? Does that give you hope? Because if he won't even do it for his own staffers, do you think he's going to do it for people he doesn't know? I don't think so. But so this is the Democratic Party. This is the Democratic Party. And so whenever they have the chance to be more progressive, they go further right wing. Right? But when it comes to Joe Biden's his own son, he understands that, if you have a drug problem, you don't need to go to jail. You need to go to rehab. You need help when it's his own son. But when it's someone else's son or someone else's father, no, they deserve to be locked up. Family, probably the main breadwinner in their family, no longer there. They won't do a single thing to help those communities, so that the person, when they have an opportunity cost away, whether they're gonna sell drugs or whatever, or get a job that pays well, he won't do anything to improve that in those communities. He won't do a damn thing about that. But what he will do is ensure that you have a police budget where 50% of the discretionary spending, like in LA, this is in LA, 50%. So 50 cents on every dollar goes to the cops of discretionary spending, basically meaning what the city council can allocate funds to freely every year. 50% of that goes to the cops, which goes to criminalizing and punishing everything. It doesn't. Do the cops run after school programs? No. Do the cops buy books for those schools? No. Are we taking away money from the police budget to make sure that it's not 50-1 teacher to student ratio? No. We're just going to give more money to over policing and criminalizing everything. Imagine being totally clean yet admitting to the feds you smoked pot months ago. Literally. Who are these people that would do that? So I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it on that. Give me a few minutes. I'm gonna hook my camera back up, and then we're gonna go into our next segment, which is gonna be about. You guys saw the progressives introduced Medicare for all legislation a few days ago, and Ryan Grimm on his podcast with The Intercept, they interviewed Pramila Jayapal, and I want to go through that because it turns out that they do understand using leverage and forcing a vote, but we'll see exactly what they got for that leverage this time around. So give me a minute, and I'm gonna hook up my camera. There we go. All right, we're back. We're back. We're back. If that happens again, I'm just gonna leave it leave it on my computer camera. All right, let me try and catch up on I don't know if I get any super chats before I start this next segment. Appreciate everyone for being here. Love your show, Justin, Karina. Thanks so much, Karina. Appreciate that. Appreciate everyone for being here. We're gonna go into this next segment here in a sec. I just want to make sure I didn't miss out on any super chats. I know I did last time, and I hate doing that because I know y'all want to see your question right. Okay, thanks so much for the super chat, Movie Man. While his son can do coke and his crime bill writing self will look the other way. Exactly. That's that's the catch right there. And Sunny Days, I think that might be Sunny Days. Thanks for the super chat. It's the 80s again. Okay, I read those already. Okay, cool. All right, let's hop into our next segment. Let me cue that up real quick. All right. So this is Rip Ryan Grimm and New and Justin. Hey, if Ryan Grimm's role in this all is to get these progressives on his show so that they can actually think that's a very cool and calm environment and actually admit things, then fine. Then fine. I'm cool with that. And Ryan does do good reporting. He does do good reporting. Maybe I'll have to have him on the show one day and we'll talk about Force the Vote. Right? Okay. Here we go. So this was Pramila Jayapal, and kind of the context before this, she was talking about everything that they got into the bill, that this was a huge progressive win, and they didn't want to risk that. So we'll see what she has to say here.
A lot of pressure from the outside on the progressive caucus and on the squad to draw a hard line and say that if the $15 minimum wage isn't in this bill, that we're voting this down. From your perspective, was that debated inside the caucus, and was there a line at which
he actually asked the question,
said, we're voting this down, and why wasn't that particular issue the line?
Yeah, with the $15 minimum wage, I can tell you from the very beginning, we knew that was a 50-50 proposition, that getting the parliamentarian to rule 15 in was a 50-50 proposition. But then because the White House had been so clear that they were not going to overrule the parliamentarian, even though you saw me on TV, I assume every day, pushing to overrule the parliamentarian, that it would be a very difficult thing to try to move forward as our red line. So even
okay, if you're admitting that it's a 50-50 proposition, and you're admitting that you went on TV and lobbied for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to overrule the parliamentarian, which if they really wanted the $15 minimum wage, they would have done in a second. Like in 2001, when the Republicans wanted their tax cut under Bush, they fired the parliamentarian. Why? Because it's an advisory role. And you did not go and tell voters, oh, we'll get the $15 minimum wage for you if this random person you've never heard of lets us. Right? And so the fact that they're even putting any stock into what the parliamentarian says is bullshit. You go out and you say, I don't care what the parliamentarian says. We're putting this in the bill. And if we don't if the bill's not in the bill, I'm not voting for it. We'll see what their red line was and what their stipulations for voting for this bill was. We'll see with the rest of what she says.
Alexandria, Ro Khanna, others had said they weren't going to vote down a progressive, truly progressive, probably the most progressive legislation most of us have ever voted on, because 15 wasn't in there. That would make no sense, because the old
standards. If you know our political history, the reason you can even consider this as the most progressive legislation, as if that means much considering our history, is because we haven't had any progressive legislation probably since the 60s, right? And so to hear them pushing this bill, which if you go talk to any normal person out there who's actually struggling with thousands of dollars of rent debt, thousands and tens of thousands of dollars of student loan debt, credit card debt built up from not getting shit from their government for a whole year in a pandemic, you go and ask them how progressive this legislation is if they're still struggling. I thought they were supposed to be our working class people in Congress. So if you actually are still going to go out there and parrot that, even though we've debunked that plenty of times, considering the numbers on ending poverty is relative to $12,000 being the poverty line, and for a family of four, it's $26,500. You tell me how many families of four can live on $30,000, but to the federal government, to the Democrats, they're not in poverty. You tell me that. And there's a good case to be made that certain people, depending on their circumstance, do they have kids, whatever, actually got it better under Trump, because that unemployment was $600 a week under Trump. It's half of that. So even if you want to say just the CARES Act, the one bill, that the first bill that the Republicans did and the first bill that the Democrats did, if we're talking about direct relief to people, yeah, it was $1,200 versus $1,400. It went to less people. Yes, they included dependents, but they obviously, chopped down the threshold to 80,000. But there's an argument to be made that people got more relief under Trump simply because that $1,400 versus that $1,200 means nothing if you're getting $300 double extra each week in unemployment. So for certain people, they literally got more money under Trump. So do not tell me that and celebrate this legislation and say, oh, well, it was so popular. Yeah, because people are starving and struggling. They need something. They're gonna accept anything. It's your job to be in there and say, no, we're getting this $15 minimum wage because it's the only redistributive policy in this entire bill, and it's the only big ticket progressive item that you promised to voters. And until it's in the bill, I'm not voting for it. They had a different red line. They had a different red line. Why do they have a different red line than I do? Well, to me, it feels like they're a little bit disconnected from the real suffering that's going on in the country. And it doesn't feel like they have the same urgency as other people have, like myself and people on the left and struggling working class people, because they don't have time to wait. They don't have time to wait maybe to the next bill, or maybe the next bill, or maybe, oh, well, the Republicans take over in 2022. Okay, then when are they going to get a wage increase? They might not get a wage increase. They might be working for $7.25 in 2030 for all we know. When are you actually going to draw a line in the sand and say, you promised voters this? It's very popular. We're going to force it in this bill.
Overall problem is we still don't have 50 senators who were willing to vote for it. You saw Senator Sanders' amendment. I think we lost 8 senators, Democratic senators, on that amendment. So we, of course, looked at what the possibilities were, but we're very clear that 15 couldn't be a red line. That said, you notice we didn't say that.
Are you even going to mention Chuck Schumer's name and the fact that because he didn't leave it in the bill, he basically filibustered the Democrats themselves? What do you mean, Justin? Well, see, if Chuck Schumer would have just left it in the bill, that would have forced people like Joe Manchin, Chris Coons, and Kirsten Sinema to actually vote on the bill as is. And if anyone wanted to, object to that, they would have needed 60 votes to strip it out of the bill. Instead, Chuck Schumer takes it out of the bill. Bernie then introduces the amendment. The Republicans, because of the Senate rules, do a motion or whatever, and now it needs 60 votes, which it'll never get. Dead in the water. Just virtue signaling at that point. Are you going to mention that? That's your own party. So when we're talking about who we're fighting, but you never mention your own party is who you're fighting, and if people are out there and they don't understand that dynamic, then you're not informing those people that they need to be on your side and not Chuck Schumer's and not Joe Manchin. You're still operating as a party, and you're fighting something in the ether that is keeping people from having a $15 minimum wage. Something in the ether, not Nancy Pelosi and Chris Coons and Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. Because if Those are the people keeping people from actually getting a livable wage, which $15 an hour is barely a livable wage. Barely. It really depends on where you live. And even still, in most cities, that's still not a livable wage. Bare minimum ask. If you're still not willing to call those people out, then how can I say you're on my side? How can I say you're on my side? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to those people if you're just tweeting about it and talking about it. Those people still are making $725. See, I come from sports, and sports are result-oriented, performance-oriented. If you don't perform, you're gone. That's simple. Other jobs are like that. Everyone's job is like that except the politicians whose job it is to help us. Everyone is subjected to that except them. These little baby steps, it's too late. It's too late in the game for that. Do you not look around at the reality that we're experiencing right now? Mass people don't have money to live. Don't have money to live in the richest country in the world. So I'm tired of hearing it. I'm tired of hearing, oh, we wanted to get it, and it just, we wanted it so bad. We wanted it so bad. We weren't willing to fight. We weren't even willing to hold up the bill for a day. And they say, oh, unemployment ends on the 14th. Okay, that means Joe Biden has 4 to 5 days to get those senators to flip their votes. This is not the hostile takeover that Kyle Kalinske and the Justice Democrats originally were founded upon. This is coalescing to the groupthink within the Democratic Party at every turn. Tell me how that's different. Tell me how it's different.
Until our votes were being cast, because we wanted to try every possible thing we could do. And I said from the very beginning, we have to look at the whole package when it comes back to us, because that's how we're going to evaluate whether the things that we care about have been undermined so much that we want to leverage our votes or not. In the end, I think we felt very clear that we had won. This was a progressive piece of legislation.
And Chuck Schumer said publicly that one way that he got Manchin to back down was by telling him
that's such gaslighting.
His understanding that the House would vote down the entire package if he pushed too hard on unemployment. Did you relay that signal to the Senate?
I did. I called Senator Schumer on Friday morning as they were about to go.
Listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to this part. This part shows you that they understand. They understand how to use leverage. Let's see what they use it for.
Go into their vote-a-rama, and when I had heard about the amendment, the Carper-Manchin amendment that ended up being the Carper amendment until Manchin came back on board 10 hours later, to say to the Senate Majority Leader that, we did not like the changes in my statement about the American Rescue Plan. You might have seen I said that those.
In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to send a strongly worded letter urging the White House to put the minimum wage back in there. We have a coalition of 25 strong progressives. And what we're going to do with our leverage is we're going to send a strongly worded letter urging Joe Biden to look into his heart at all those millions of people who would be lifted out of poverty with a minimum wage increase. Lifted out of poverty. No, just a little bit more comfortable in their lives, a little bit struggling, a little bit less. Look into your heart and legislate for those people. And what did Joe Biden say? He said, fuck those poor people. I don't give a damn. And that $15 minimum wage is not getting passed right now.
Changes were bad policy and bad politics. But at that point, my concern was that it was going to get weakened further, and that if it did, I could not guarantee that we would be voting for it. As
this is unbelievable. So her worry was that if they withheld their votes, and it went back to the Senate to negotiate, her worry was that the bill would get worse. So she was like, no, I'm not going to do it. We're as a collective progressive coalition, we're not going to do it because there's a possibility this bill could get worse. Someone please explain to me how that makes any sense. If they know they need your vote, that means you have a position at the table. That means you can actually negotiate to make the bill better. Then you'll vote for the bill. That's how politics works. That answer to me is like almost disqualifying, just in a strategic sense. Like that does not make any sense at all.
Progressives.
Unbelievable.
And so I needed to let Senator Schumer know that. And I think it was perfect timing, because I do think he understood that. And I think it was important to him to convey to Senator Manchin that there was going to be a place where there was going to be too much.
And my
Why was that place not a $15 minimum wage? Like, I truly don't understand. I'm trying to understand that, because that was the only progressive commitment, like Jayapal likes to talk about, commitment that we got from Biden. So why was the red line not drawn at the $15 minimum wage, which is the only, like, we could go back to our, like, the voters that we went out and told to vote for Joe Biden because we'll push them left. We can go back and tell those voters, look, the Democratic Party is looking out for you. We said we give you that $15 minimum wage. We're fighting for it. Why is that not the line? The line is, we're gonna have tax forgiveness on unemployment. You mean something that should have been done in the first place? So our line is things that should be obvious and done in the first place. That's what we'll negotiate for. We'll never negotiate for anything more.
guess is that, frustrating as it probably is for members of Congress, that some of the really loud criticism on social media probably actually made your threat to Schumer more credible in a way. Schumer didn't have to wonder whether or not you and the other progressives were feeling pressure. Do you think that's right?
To be honest, I didn't really feel that much pressure. The pressure I feel comes from, are we looking at the package in totality? Does it comply with what we said were priorities for us? And ultimately, how do we as progressives not step on what is a serious progressive win?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are so used.
Y'all, I don't know. I don't know how much more I can listen to. After that, I mean, what do y'all think? Y'all let me know. Let me know if I'm being too hard. Let me know if I'm being too hard, because to me, that was some bullshit. How can you consider this legislation a progressive win if the only thing that we're talking about? Okay, imagine if there was not the block of progressives, it was just Democrats. It was, some people would argue, but it was just corporate Democrats. And so tell me what would have not been in this bill if it was just corporate Democrats, as opposed to what's in the bill now, because we have progressives in Congress, because we did all that mobilization. Everyone, including myself, donated to these people, talked these people up. I went and told friends that were apolitical. I said, if you want to get into politics, you should look into like young people in the party. They're like, oh, everyone's too old in politics. I said, look into AOC, look into Rashida Tlaib. These people are young. These people are young and they're fighting for us. That's what I used to tell people. I can't tell people that anymore because of stuff like this. Because the line that they're drawing in the sand is, oh, we should have, because they're gonna squeeze out anyone making $80,000 to $100,000. What we're gonna come back with is you need to make the unemployment benefits tax forgivable. I would love to negotiate with the progressives, because I'd be like, oh shoot, that probably should have been in there already, because we're the Democrats and we're the party of the working class, and the fact that we're taxing unemployment is ridiculous in the first place. Like, that's taxpayer dollars that are coming back to taxpayers because they need help, and the government's like, oh, actually, that's going to be taxed. So that's what we're fighting for. Things that should have already already be, you know, bare fucking minimum. And guys, it's not about liking these people or not. It really isn't. It's just simply not. It's about results and outcomes. Like I said, I come from sports. It's about performance and outcomes, right? So if the $15 minimum wage was the only single progressive, truly progressive redistributive policy, the one that we got a commitment on, we didn't get a commitment on shit else, not Medicare for all, not a Green New Deal, not free public college, not legalizing marijuana, nothing. We got the $15 minimum wage, which was bare minimum because 15 isn't enough. And we don't even have that now after this grand, huge progressive win. So it's not about liking anybody, okay? We need to get away from this celebrification of these politicians and whether I like someone or not. Politicians are there to be used by us as a tool to get what we want, period. End of story. It has nothing to do with whether you like the person personally or not. I'm sure with all of them, I'd go out with them and I'd have a great time if they weren't politicians. Because I'm sure they're all nice, really great people. We didn't put you there to be nice, really great people. We put you there to legislate for us, to fight for us, to hold up bills, to cause a ruckus, and to get things done. Once we did enough mobilization to give y'all a coalition in Congress that actually was meaningful. If there was only 2 or 3 people in Congress, like there was before, you know, not as big of a margin as the margin of you know, the difference between the margin of their majority. If there was only 2 or 3, then it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. But we got to the point where we organized and we phone banked and we went door knocking and we gave money and all that stuff to get to this point where we actually have power, to get to the point where we actually have something, where we can actually advance something. So you're telling me we need to wait for more votes? How many more votes? Because there was 23 people, 25 people that sent that letter that Ro Khanna facilitated to Joe Biden. That sounds like a hell of a large coalition that they need to listen to if they're not going to vote for the package unless the $15 minimum wage is in it. So how many more people do we need? Because if you just keep saying we need to keep organizing, keep getting more votes and more votes, okay, so you're saying we need to have everyone in Congress be a progressive? Because there's over half of people in the progressive caucus that have co-sponsored Medicare for all. So what do we need? It's already over half. Nancy Pelosi won't bring it up. Do we need 55%, 60%, 75%, 80%? How many do we need before y'all are going to start actually using the margin that you have, the coalition that you have to hold shit up and force stuff into bills? They're never going to just give it to you. They're going to give you the tax forgiveness. They're going to give you, which should be in there without any progressives. The forgivable unemployment, tax forgivable unemployment, that should be in there without progressives. So they're going to keep giving you these small little things, and you're going to go out there and claim them as huge wins, and then they're going to go home. Nancy Pelosi is going to go home to her $60,000, $70,000 worth of freezer and probably $10,000 worth of ice cream, and just giggle because she keeps on winning. I canvassed for Warnock and Ossoff. What was the point? $2,000 checks. That's what they said. Get Warnock and Ossoff in there. $2,000 checks. Immediately folded on that, went back on that, and betrayed their voters. Justin hates Easter eggs. There's a little something in there. It's not. No, don't get your hopes up. You still have that debt you got to pay back. But it's a little something. Yeah. Sorry, I got a little worked up there. I get worked up about this stuff though, because I care. Look, my dad grew up in Detroit, in the city in Detroit. Okay, one time when I was in Detroit at my grandma's house, I shit you not, she had a house that had like it was right off the main road. It was a house, and then on the side of the house there was like a driveway that went past the house to the backyard, and then they had a garage back there, and we had this basketball hoop I used to shoot hoops with. Me and my brother, we used to go out there and play basketball. And I went over my grandma's house one day, and the basketball hoop was gone. I said, Grandma, what happened to the basketball hoop? I want to play basketball. She said, oh, yeah, somebody stole it. Somebody stole this basketball hoop. Was one of those basketball hoops that has the bunch of water at the bottom. Somebody rolled the damn basketball hoop out the backyard, down the main street. That's where my dad grew up. My mom grew up in the inner city in Chicago. So this stuff is important. I'm tired of mostly black and brown people, but there's a lot of poor white people out there too, working their ass off every single day just to get screwed by the same people that the media is telling them is fighting for them. And then we are in this forever cycle where we had MLK and Malcolm X and the civil rights movement in the 60s, and we still have majority of black and brown people in poverty 40 years later. So like $15 minimum wage, we don't even understand how little and bare minimum of an ass that is, considering we're the richest country we're the richest country where we got the most broke people here. 60-70% of people living paycheck to paycheck, and that's exactly how they want it. That's exactly how they want. They want you always relying on this job that they also tie your healthcare to. So don't get sick and don't change jobs if you think you might get sick. Or if you're sick currently, don't even think about changing jobs. Or if you have a kid that's sick, don't even think about changing jobs. That's exactly what they want you to do. Richest country in the world, but everybody here is broke. I personally want to change that. I know y'all do. My question is, are you willing to draw that line? Are progressives in Congress willing to draw that line at actually getting some big ticket progressive items instituted in this 2 years before the Democrats throw away their majority because they don't want to pressure Joe Manchin to get rid of the filibuster and actually legislate well and just let themselves be disadvantaged and lose to the Republicans just based off gerrymandering? 6875 NYC. Thanks so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. A lot. $20. That's big. Thank you so much. Hi, I'm a flight attendant for a major U.S. airline based here in New York City. For the past year, I've been on forced voluntary furlough. So forced voluntary. How is that voluntary if it's forced? As well as having a severely reduced work schedule. Just got my rescue check. $508. So you've been furloughed the whole time. And when you're furloughed, does that mean you're not making any money? Are you still making your paycheck, or are you making a percentage of that? Because then they only give you $508. Yeah, rescue check. That's what they're selling it as. Rescue, like it rescued your life. Make sure put in the chat what you mean by or like what your financial, if you don't mind, what your financial situation is due to the furlough. I love how he basically accidentally said Joe Manchin instead of Joe Biden because Joe Manchin is basically deciding what passes. LOL. Yeah. Imagine sending $500 and thinking job well done. I'm telling you, they just simply they don't ever account for the actual cost of living. And when you watch them, when you see those like CNBC graphics where they do like a budget, it's like they never have any of the other things you have to pay for or surprise costs, you know. Or then they put like a healthcare line and it's like way less than actual people's healthcare is. What if you just lost your job and you have to buy Cobra, which is twice as expensive as the exchange? What if you have to do that? Like it's just BS. It's just them like trying to be parental and telling you, oh, well, you know, we won't give you money. We'll give you food stamps because, you know, the poor don't know how to save your money, even though poor people definitely know how to are the most frugal. Why? Because if they're not frugal, then they literally won't have a home. They won't have food. They won't have anything to feed their family. We do need a general strike. And whatever I can do to help facilitate that, like I don't know shit about organizing, but I have a platform. So whatever I can do to help organize that, I will do. This is, some people were asked about my shirt. One of my buddies, he made the shirt for me. So go check it out. Cone Ranger. Brett Taylor, thanks so much for the super chat. Check out the Gravel Institute with David Cross. It's really good. Which one was that? Did y'all ever see the Gravel Institute video about housing? I think it was in like Sweden, or man, I was like an Eastern European country maybe. It's like most people actually want to live in the public housing. And like we just don't understand like how different things could be. Like a society is just, it functions and it is, it's formed just in the way you want it to be formed. So like you could, like, we just don't imagine, or we don't ever look outside of this bubble, this propagandized bubble that hovers around this country. People like don't even understand that if you're in Detroit and you're sitting in a house and you can't afford your insulin, but if you were literally just 15 minutes across a bridge in that country, in just a different spot in the globe, that same situation, you'd be fine. You'd just be completely fine. So a society just is how we want to form it. And so that's what I really want people to start to understand with my show, is that, break out of that propaganda, and American exceptionalists think that we're so propagandized into thinking from a young age, and actually start to understand that there are other ways to do things. And if I'm trying to talk to you about Medicare for all single payer, and you tell me, well, I don't know the solution, but I don't think it's socialized medicine. Just look outside the country. Just look at every other country and the way they do it. I'll be right back and get some water. Is everybody drinking up? Everybody drink up. Come on. It's Friday night. I know everyone's been through a long work week. How good would a 4-day work week be? A 4-day work week would be incredible. Justin, do you watch anime? My friends have convinced me to start. Let me know which anime I should start with. I think I started watching the first episode of Attack on Titan. I do want to get into it. I got milk and cereal. That's like, that just gave me like a visceral reaction. Because I can't drink regular milk anymore. Can't do it. My body won't let me do it. And milk and cereal was like one of my vices, and now I can't anymore. I mean, I drink like creamy oat milk, but I can't drink milk no more. It's rough. I love these live streams. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Glad you could be in. Dude, almond milk, bro. Yeah, I've tried almond milk too. I do like almond milk. I like almond milk, and like if I get like I don't really drink coffee, but I like what is that? Like chai tea and just like stuff like that, and I'll put almond milk in it. Or I've just recently got into boba. I know that that might be a West Coast thing, because I never heard of it till I got out here. But yeah, I'll put like almond milk in that if I get like a boba smoothie. You ever have coconut water? I have. I like cashew milk. I don't like cashews, so I don't know if I'd like cashew milk. I make $13 in Wilmette, Illinois. Oh, you're from Wilmette. Wilmette is that's kind of not too far from where I grew up. But it must be hard. It's got to be hard to live on that in Wilmette, because Wilmette's pretty expensive, right? Will you stream on Twitch, Justin? I will. I'll get my Twitch set up. J-Jax, you scored tutties in real life, and that's what matters. You can ball. Thanks, man. Thoughts on fellow GBN and Northwestern alum Greg Newsom's rising draft stop? Super exciting. Yeah, he's gonna be a beast. Hopefully the Chargers pick him up. It'd be so cool to have another Northwestern guy and GBN guy. Yep, went to the same college or same high school too. Let me see if I have anything else to share with you guys. Otherwise we can just keep chilling, keep talking. Oh, I did want to watch this. Did you guys see the video of Robert Reich? Robert Reich, like Bernie brought him into to testify in the budget committee, and he was talking about just the inequality. I mean, the gross levels of inequality. I actually do want to watch that. I do want to watch that because I watched that video and that was, I mean, it's just stark. It's stark. It's just number wise. I don't think people really understand and truly grasp how much money these billionaires have. We have over 600 billionaires. That means over 600 people that have more money than you could spend in multiple lifetimes. And they're just stealing. They're just thieves. They're thieves. They're just stealing money from everyone. Just stealing. And they hoard it. They don't pay taxes on it. I mean, this is not sustainable. It's just not sustainable. And I think we don't understand in this country because we've never, really had, a true wholesale revolution, wholesale uprising, wholesale, just true chaos. The closest thing we've come is really probably 9/11. But people don't understand. People, I think, just have this idea that it's just going to get better eventually. It's just going to get better. No, it's continuing to get worse. It's continuing to get worse at every inflection point, like this minimum wage, like the Affordable Care Act, and with the financial crash, and with this pandemic, with everything. There's an inflection point, and they could either help poor people and help the least amongst us, or they can screw them over. And at every inflection point, they screw them over. So why are we so confident and have this, really irrational optimism about what the future of this country is going to be like? No. It's not going to be good unless we actually have a general strike, unless we actually disrupt stuff and actually force these people to give us something more than little tiny crumbs. So let's watch this video. This will probably be the last thing we cover, and then I'll answer y'all's questions and I'll pack it up for the night. Oh, I did want to share this because I might be tripping, but I don't think I am. Look at this. Okay, my thing died again. I promise next time I'll charge my battery. I'm sorry. Okay. Look at this. This is the co-sponsorship for the HR 1384 last Congress when Jayapal introduced it. And look at the co-sponsors here. 118 current. Can y'all see that? Co-sponsors. I'll make it bigger. Co-sponsor, 118 current, includes 106 original. Okay, so that's the last Congress. Let's look at this Congress, and maybe this has been updated, is a typo. I know I saw Jackson Hinkle talk about it, and it's interesting to me because what we were told was we can't force the vote because it would be the Pramila Jayapal literally said it would be the end of the Medicare for All movement if a floor vote failed, and I think that's just blatantly false. But the point of this was to get more co-sponsors, all this stuff. But to me, and so this is the new bill, and it has 112 sponsors. Now, I don't know if that's not updated, but that's less. Am I tripping? That's less, right? And you know, they're propping up that they got this committee chair, House and Ways committee chair, to like say that he'll give a hearing to it. But remember, we had a hearing in the last Congress, and one, they weren't even allowed to say the word Medicare for all, and two, they weren't. I mean, people had harrowing stories, and there's still like half the Congress, the Democratic caucus, that won't co-sponsor it. Yes, they got more co-sponsors, but what does co-sponsorship matter if someone like Hakeem Jeffries is co-sponsors it, when we know if it actually came up for a vote and was had a chance of passing, he would not vote for that. He would not. So, but even if I grant you that, you know, all the co-sponsors would actually vote for it, Nancy Pelosi, no matter how many co-sponsors you get, I literally believe even if Nancy Pelosi was the literal only one that didn't co-sponsor it, still would not bring it up to the floor for a vote. Now, would I love to be wrong? Yes, I would. I would love to be wrong. I don't think I am in this situation, because all the empirical evidence shows that Nancy Pelosi won't do shit unless she's forced to do it. Hey, Justin, how would you feel if the Dems put $15 into the defense spending bill like they did when Bush was around? I mean, I don't think you have enough leverage in the defense spending bill, because look what happened when Bernie tried to hold up the defense bill for the $2,000 checks. I think there was like literally like more Republicans actually stood with Bernie than Democrats did. All the Democrats voted for it because it's the military budget, and they'll always vote for that. They'll always vote for that. They have arrows in their quiver. We have arrows in our quiver. They are not shooting any arrows. They have strongly worded letters in their quiver. All right, let's listen to this Robert Reich interview real quick. Tweet for 50. You know, I want to make like a graphic. You mean the war budget? Yeah. I want to make a graphic, because, you know, Pramila Jayapal, she tweeted out Medicare for all. That's it. That's the tweet. No, it should be Medicare for all. That's it. That's a tweet, because that's all it is. That's a tweet. Now, I think we're 2-3 years past getting our elected representatives to tweet the right things. I'm glad y'all are tweeting the right things. We need y'all to force votes. We need y'all to force votes. All right, let's listen to this real quick. We'll take some more questions at the end, and then we'll get out of here. I know it's late. Damn, it's 11 o'clock on the East Coast. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm on the West Coast, so it'd be real early. It'd be real early over here, but it's a Friday night. Everyone, get your drinks. Get your drinks. Okay. Here we go. Come on, Robert Reich. I love being on the left coast. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with this. Let me reload it. It's not that one. Here we go.
Reich. Many of you will remember that who rigged it, how we at the university. Reich, thank you so much,
Chairman, and members of the committee. With your permission, I will simply provide my testimony and submit it to the committee. Also, several charts that I think the committee might find very useful. Let me just say, and I'm going to summarize very quickly, even before the pandemic, America had the widest inequalities of income and wealth we have had in a century, and they're wider than any other developed nation. The median wage in the United States has barely budged for 40 years when you adjust for inflation, even though the economy of the United States is almost 3 times larger. And more than half Americans earn so little that they have to live paycheck to paycheck. Now, this is something new in the history of at least post-World War II America. We've never seen the degree of inequality we're now experiencing. Increasingly, the economy's gains have gone to the top. The richest 1/10 of 1%, Mr. Chairman, as you said, I want to just underscore this. The richest 1/10 of 1% has almost as much wealth as the bottom 90% put together.
That stat to me is incredible. I didn't even know that. I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was that bad. The richest 1/10 of 1%. So if you take 1% as a whole, the richest 10% of that, so then like 90th percentile of the richest 1%, has more money than the bottom 90%. That is literally insane. Like, that is an insane amount of inequality. And if we can recognize that all this inequality is here, Bernie, talking to you, then we need to start being a little more bold. We need to start being a little more bold in our approach. Because to me, it makes it worse when you recognize that there's so much inequality and there's so much suffering, but you're not willing to put anything on the line to alleviate that. Right? Like, that almost makes it worse to me. Now, does that mean you're as evil as the people that genuinely just want to keep, the Mitch McConnell types, Nancy Pelosi types? No, it doesn't mean you're as evil as them as a person individually. But like I said, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter individually. It matters about results. And so your job, we put you there to fight for those people. That's why that's why I went to freaking Las Vegas and went door knocking for you, Bernie, because I believed in your message. And I believe that this is an existential threat to this country. And I'm willing to put it all on the line. Are you?
And again, the compensation packages of the top executives of big companies, CEOs, have soared from an average of 20 times that of the typical worker 40 years ago, or 60 times when I was labor secretary, to 320 times today. And the pandemic has just made all of this much more stark. America's 660 billionaires have together become $1.3 trillion richer. This would be enough, by the way. This 1.3
this is what's crazy right here.
During the past year would be enough for them to give every American a $3,900 check and still be as rich as they were before the pandemic.
That's all you need to know. That's it. That's all you need to know. America's billionaires could have given every single American, not this means-tested bullshit, could have given every single American a $3,900 check and still have been just as rich as they were before the pandemic started. Which, how rich were they before the pandemic started? They have more money than you could ever spend in multiple lifetimes before the pandemic. After the pandemic, they're $1 trillion richer, which means they just have more money they could literally never spend in multiple lifetimes. And they could have given every single American a $3,900 check. Yo, this country, y'all. It's not sustainable. Just doing shit like that is not sustainable. And Chris Hessage has been right on a lot of things. And the most recent book he wrote was America: The Farewell Tour. Now, this would be a good time for him not to be right, but all the evidence doesn't look great for us. 6875 NYC, thanks again for the super chat. Wow, $15. Thanks so much, man. The force was basically either take the furlough or be laid off. I kept my take the furlough or be laid off, right? Okay, so I kept my benefits, but no paycheck. This is a one-party state masquerading as a two-party state. So you weren't getting a paycheck, but then you're furloughed, so you're technically not getting unemployment either. So you're just not getting any money. Like, how did you survive? That's crazy. So you kept your benefit, like you kept your health care, but did you get any money? Like, how do you survive a whole year furloughed and not getting a check and not getting unemployment? That's crazy, bro. I'm sorry about that, man. See, that stuff like that, like I hate hearing stuff like that because that's real people's lives. And, you know, I think when you do all this means testing and stuff like that, like those are the type of people you leave out who deserve to be helped and don't get helped. And who if you don't have a lot in savings because you got, you know, whatever else happened in your life that forced you to lose money when you were starting to save it and all of a sudden you had an emergency, then what are you going to do? But Justin, we all know that rent only comes once a year and utilities are free. Have I mentioned how much I hate these people? Yeah, I'm with you. Just the fact that all the senators are millionaires, like that should piss everyone off. And then they had the gall to get mad at Bernie for writing a book when he was 75 and making money off of it. as they're all millionaires. But then when it came to Brooklyn Dad, it's like, oh, you're getting mad. He's good at what he does. He gets paid for what he does. He gets paid to be a bot for the establishment. And you're getting mad at him for making money. That's what we're doing now. 2 seconds later, y'all were getting 2 seconds ago, y'all were mad at Jimmy Dore for buying a house at 55, however old he is, after having a successful YouTube channel. Do you watch On Contact with Chris Hedges? I'm about to start watching it a lot more. It's called a plutonomy. Citibank coined that term. Figures. Bootstraps all the way. Just pull yourself up by your teeth. I missed the rest of that. Damn thing moved. Did you see the story about a bunch of people in Congress getting PPP loans for themselves? You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. I gotta watch that Unapologetic. Did you cover it? If you covered it, I'll watch your video on it. That's nuts. You know, one of the craziest things I saw last year was, and I didn't know this. The Congress doubled their own healthcare like facility. So double the money, the funding to their own health. So I think before they were like $5 million was allocated to it for all of Congress, which is like what, 585 people, $5 million budget. So you can see how much they're allocating for themselves. And, you know, they have everything there. They have, you know, Eastern medicine there. They have, I'm sure they pay for like acupuncture. They have everything. I mean, it's state of the art, and they doubled it. And what did you get? Not shit. Like, it's crazy that they literally have socialized medicine. Like, Congress has socialized medicine, and because it's paid for by the public, by us, and yet they go out there and tell you that socialized medicine doesn't work, and everyone loves their private insurer. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, what a scam. Yeah, that's the society we live in. It's sad. It's sad, and I don't know. If you guys had the chance to leave, would y'all leave? I mean, I know it's very hard to leave the country just because of, you know, the costs associated with moving and all that stuff, and then obviously, I don't know, getting citizenship somewhere else. But I know I definitely thought about it. I'm like, I want to live somewhere where it's like not you're not ostracized or you're not in the minority when you're like anti-war. You know what I mean? I couldn't afford to leave. Yeah, I mean, I think that's most people's situation. They're always like, why don't you just leave the country? Bruh, I have $200 to my name. Do you think I could up and just leave? Hard part is being away from my family. Yeah. See, my thing is like I already my family lives in Chicago, and because of my schedule with football, I only go home like a few times a year anyway. I only get to see my friends a few times a year anyway. So Canada, Mexico, yeah, it's not far. What places in Canada do you all like? I've never been to Canada. I kind of want to visit Toronto, Vancouver, Quebec, Montreal. Is there anywhere else I should visit? Bro, I got 200 in my name. What do you mean, progressive girl? What do you mean the American Rescue Plan didn't bring you out of poverty? What do you mean? They said it on the news. It has to be true. Health insurers going to get fact checks from all y'all, and that's the thing. Everything in this bill is funded by the taxpayers, right? There's no redistributive policies. There's nothing. There's no wealth tax. There's no like the $15 minimum wage. Obviously, would have to be paid by employers and all that stuff. So everything in this bill is coming from the big pot of tax money, right? That we all pay into. So they're saying this is a huge progressive win, huge progressive legislation. No, we're all paying for it with our taxpayer dollars. None of it is coming from the wealthy. None of it is coming from big businesses, corporations, nothing. It's all coming from us. So that Cobra's, in fact, you're right. Like y'all saying, y'all right. It's coming from us. And where's it going? Oh, don't worry. We'll pay your Cobra just through September, as if people won't be struggling after September. But we'll pay Cobra. We're going to take your taxpayer dollars and we're going to fund these health insurance companies, of which funded my campaign. I'm Joe Biden. And they're literally saying this is a progressive win. How is it a progressive win if there's not a single redistributive policy or permanent policy within this $2 trillion bill? So we spent $2 trillion just to get literally no redistributive policies. And then they're acting like, oh, people are just going to be fine after this one-time payment. No, there's going to be, I think they just extended the eviction moratorium, but they're not canceling that rent or their mortgages. They ain't doing that. Billionaires are sociopaths. They have to be. You have to be a sociopath if you can have all that money, more money than you could probably spend in 100 lifetimes, while there's people living under every bridge in LA. Oh, and then not only that, you're going to go buy the most expensive house ever purchased in that very city. You have to be a sociopath. You just have to be. You have to be. There's no way you could actually process and see the world based in reality, and have that much money. Also, who gets Cobra? People with good jobs, aka middle and upper class. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How long is the eviction extended to? I don't know. I didn't see that. I didn't see how long it was extended, but I did see that they're going to be extending it. But it's like they're just putting it off, like that money is going to come due. And I know we bag on landlords, and I generally agree. But there are a lot of landlords that, I think of it like this. There are a lot of landlords that have one or two properties. But then there's also corporations that are landlords, essentially. Like the apartment building I live in is owned by a multinational corporation. They literally have apartments here, like in Arizona. I think also they have some in Mexico, I believe. So there's such a big difference between even those landlords who own one or two properties and those massive corporations that own tens of dozens of or hundreds of apartment buildings. The government should have helped the landlords. That's not my job as a renter during crisis. Exactly. But what do? They pit those small ass landlords that own one or two property against the renter, against the worker, right? But we're not gonna talk about these landlords that are just corporations. Like there's a huge difference between even those people that own one or two properties and those corporations that own hundreds of properties. You know, and those two people really aren't in the same class. That landlord, those small landlords are much closer, just wealth wise, to workers than they are to those multinational or nationwide type landlords. Congress could have canceled rent mortgages and bailed out landlords. That was a choice. Yep. Class warfare. Exactly. Corporate landlords are a whole different level. Yep. I'm going to have to sell my rental property to the bank. Why is that? Whatever, man. Just because your renters couldn't pay during this time and you couldn't pay the mortgage then? Yo, AMLO, thanks so much for the super chat, man. I don't want to assume gender. I'm sorry. I work 2 jobs, 7 days a week, 5 days in one and 6 to 7 in the other. Currently, I sleep 3 hours a day, but normally I do 4.5. Been 4 years now. We'll leave the U.S. next year. That's wild. See, but remember when that woman got up on the stage and asked and told George Bush she worked 3 jobs, and he was like, "That's uniquely American," and everyone clapped. There's this old lady talking about she worked 3 jobs and people clapped. Like, y'all are crazy, bro. What type of engineering did your dad do? Electrical engineering. My dad's smart, man. My dad's really smart. He's very handy. Like he can pretty much fix almost anything, or he'll definitely try. He can't fix anything, but he'll definitely try. I do talk about my dad a lot on the because he's not he's like he was a Bernie supporter, but he does kind of make some excuses for like Joe Biden, but he's getting better. I'm radicalizing him slowly, I promise. I would leave the country if it wasn't so expensive. No cap, the ship is sinking. Yeah. Like father, like son. Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm a little intelligent in a different way. He's like just very like technically smart. I'm not. I was not that book smart, but I also didn't try that hard because I always was putting a lot of time into. I mean, I tried. I definitely tried hard, but I was putting a lot of time into football too. So it was just like time wise, it was tough to do both at super high level. Bro, so glad I'm originally from Peru and going back home. Hey, do your thing, CO. Get out of here. Yeah, I hate the American glorification of working yourself to death at a shitty job. Yeah, and it's like it's really wild because then it kind of manifests in the sense that you're like always trying to climb. You're always trying to like, oh, just keep working hard and don't worry. Eventually, you'll climb up and you'll live nice like your boss, And it's like, why are we aspiring to work? We really should get to a point where, we have some type of UBI, and because so much is going to be automated. But imagine if you have the robots doing the work, right? And then we take care of everyone's basic necessities, and that way you could actually follow your passions. But that would be too equitable. Wyatt Arnold, thanks so much for the super chat. I teach now in SK, South Korea. I'm guessing because I chose to leave the sinking ship. The pandemic and CARES Act radicalized me, so I'm coming back to try to make some change. Wow, good for you. Yeah, that was a radicalizing experience. I think COVID has been a very radicalizing experience for me. Just like everyone else, I feel like COVID made everyone step back away from all their distractions and really confront, what this country is. I mean, and all the issues with it, and especially, with something like George Floyd, like there's been videos like that before. But everyone really had to confront it because you didn't have as much distractions, and so everyone had to confront it, and that's really what sparked. BLM was there before George Floyd, right? But it became more accepted because there wasn't sports going on, and there was, but it's just to a lesser extent, and everyone's not working right now, and no one's really traveling on vacations and all that stuff. So how is South Korea? That might be a cool place to go. I would love to move to Vietnam. You're so right about work culture. It becomes people's entire identity. You're human beings, not machines. They're more to life than serving corporate power. Exactly. I've been fighting this crap since 1968. I don't see anything getting better. Truth be told, that's one of my biggest fears. That's one of my biggest fears is like, I'm imagining myself in like 20, 25 years. And, I've been knowledgeable and, cognizant of the issues in this country, and knowing that for 25, 30 years you fight, and how much really changes. And I think that's my biggest fear. Not my biggest fear, but one of my biggest fears, just as far as politically. You ever gone Joe? Any change you ever gone Joe Rogan with Jimmy Dore? I don't think Joe Rogan knows who I am. I don't think Joe Rogan knows who I am. I think George Floyd was so egregious that people can no longer pretend. That as well, for sure. I mean, it's just, come on, the dude. I mean, everyone saw it. I don't even want to talk about it, think about it. It's just horrible. No offense to Justin, but I see sports as a kind of deliberate mental decay, not in themselves, but definitely how they are utilized. That's an interesting point. I think in and of themselves, sports is not mentally decaying, but I think that, like you said, the way we kind of think about it, and just, the way it's portrayed in this country is seen more like that. I feel that. Because people look at it as like, oh, this is my, I'm watching football on Sundays. Like, this is my mental break away from my job that I hate or whatever. And that's why people are like, oh, don't bring politics into my sports, blah, 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 blah. So I definitely see that. Watch the CTE, brother. I've actually never had a concussion. Knock on wood. You got to know how to dodge. Don't take those big hits. Jeff Bezos, Beth Bezos, I like that, has $100+ billion. That's 1 million times 100,000. 1 billion is already enough to live an entire lifetime. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, 1 million is enough. Like, I mean, there's you could live on just, even if like you said, $1 billion, if you're spending like not even fruit, like you're just swiping the card, whatever, you couldn't even come close to spending that in a lifetime. You just couldn't, unless you're like buying like sports teams and shit. We're talking about just actually living. You could buy Bugattis, you could buy Ferraris, you could buy $150 million house. Like, you could just buy whatever you want, and it just will never run out. And he has, like you said, he has 168 of those billions, which is just insane. They make money faster than they can spend it. Yeah, and when you understand like our financial systems too, like, just think about the money that they, like, Mike Bloomberg had so much money. He basically spent like 10% of his wealth to, force his way in the primary. Didn't even come close to touching his entire net worth. And he makes most of that. Just his money sitting in the bank will accrue probably millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars in interest. Just having that money and having it in a bank. So he will make probably billions of dollars just letting his money sit in the bank. Would you ever sit down for an interview with the Pascal Show or with Ty Graham and Steven Jen? I pretty much, most people that ask me to do interviews, I do it, just because I'll talk to anyone, and I stick true to my values and my convictions. So, worth over 50 billion, yeah. Yes, the youth will save this country. Hopefully, I'm trying to be a part of it. Okay, so we've been streaming for 2 hours. We have been streaming for 2 hours. I think I'm gonna hop off soon. Mona C, thank you so much for the super chat. Wow. Justin just wanted to say hi to an NFL player. JK, love what you stand for. Keep it up, comrade. Also, you should go on Slow News Day. I would love to see that. Okay. Thanks so much for the super chat. Yeah, I play in the NFL, professional athlete, but I don't know. People I think people definitely hold athletes and really all celebrities on way too much of a pedestal. Like we're really just normal people. But also, I mean, they, most celebrities hold themselves on a very high pedestal as well. So, Bloomberg said that his almost $1 billion he spent on his never intended to succeed campaign was worth every cent to see Bernie knocked out. Yeah. Mike Bloomberg spoke at the Republican convention, I think in 2004, and was a Republican mayor, and they let him in the Democratic primary. Why? Because most of them are Republicans. Most of them are Republicans. Joe Biden is a Republican. If we're talking about policy wise, Joe Biden is a Republican. He's probably one of the more effective Republicans in recent history. MBW Doughboy, thanks so much for super chat. How much do you bench and squat, and what is your 40 time? I mean, I haven't maxed out in a long time. My 40 time was like 4.5. Bench, I don't know, probably like I'm much stronger on squat than bench. Bench probably like I don't know, like close to 300, and squat probably closer to 4 something, low 4s maybe. Do I know Dan Price? I do. I want to get Dan Price on the show. Dan Price was a CEO of a company, and he, I think in like 2017 or something, basically said that all his workers were going to make $70,000 minimum, and he took the pay cut out of his own CEO pay, and now his company's doing amazing. But yeah, I know it's late. I know it's almost midnight on the East Coast. I'm probably gonna get out of here, y'all. I love doing this with y'all. I really do. I really do love doing this with y'all. Thank y'all so much for stopping by. I really feel like we're a community. So I really appreciate y'all. And yeah, thanks for stopping by. Probably do another live stream, maybe Sunday. I might do another one Sunday. If not, probably Monday or Tuesday. Next week, we're going to have Katie Halper. We're going to have Katie Halper on the show next week. For sure. I love Katie Halper. I think she's hilarious. And she's got a great show, the Katie Halper Show. So we'll have her on next week and probably another guest. Yeah, so thanks so much, everybody, for stopping by. Everybody have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. And until next time, peace out.